you need to be responsible for your reactive behaviors. It contributes to so many cycles and patterns that affect your connection and create unnecessary conflict.
Your fight is not against your partner, and your fight is not against the external situations that you face. Your fight is against your default emotional reactions.
A behavior that is actually not productive, maybe not even healthy, definitely not producing the result I want in my life and in my relationship. What do you gain? Temporary power, self-protection, self-preservation. Do you gain false confidence?
You have to ask yourself the question, if this is what it's costing me, are you willing to keep paying that price?
Hello and welcome to the Empowered Couples Podcast, where here you get modern, non-boring relationship advice for you and your partner to communicate like pros, fight smarter, and stay on the same team no matter the challenge that you face. I am one of your hosts, Jocelyn Freeman.
And I'm Aaron Freeman. And what is it that we all want? As individuals, we want to live a life where we have a pleasant internal emotional state. And that could be joyous, that could be happy, fulfilled, on purpose. And it's similar with our marriage. We want a pleasant internal state, which is understanding, loving, peaceful, harmonious. So here's what happens in a marriage. Something disrupts that peace. And that can be a tone of voice, that can be an action, that can be an external stressor. And all of a sudden, you turn outwards and you try to control the things outside of you to change this internal state back to pleasant. But here's the issue with the marriage, that you then try to control and change and fix and blame your partner, their actions, their tone of voice, all for you not having the experience that you want to have. This is being emotionally reactive, and this has a major cost to your marriage.
So today we are talking about how your responsibility is your ability to respond. And taking responsibility and taking ownership for your reactions is the pathway to emotional freedom, personal growth, and becoming a safer, more grounded partner. Now, it may seem obvious why this is important, but let's talk about the importance of this, how it impacts a relationship. Because you've probably heard us say, if you've been a longtime listener, that you need to be responsible for your reactive behaviors. It contributes to so many cycles and patterns that affect your connection and create unnecessary conflict. The behaviors that you do not take responsibility for, and to Aaron's point, you blame your partner for, they keep you stuck in loops. That can be recurring conflict cycles, like the same old pattern always plays out. It can even feel like deja vu. It depletes your partner's love account. When you don't take ownership for your behaviors and how it impacts your partner, it can empty their love account in one big argument, frankly. And it leaves your partner feeling unsafe and unseen.
It's just the trap. And this is going to be one of the deeper episodes that we talk about. We're not going to have this be long. But when you really think about that, you're wanting a pleasant experience in your marriage. And so that's an internal state. Then as we talk about this, it seems obvious that what you should be focusing on is the internal world, and what you can control is you creating that within yourself. If you try to have a pleasant experience by controlling outside factors, it's a lose game. If you take it further and are trying to change your internal experience by putting all of the responsibility on your partner for the experience that you're having, you will be in a very hard marriage. It's going to feel discouraging to your partner. It's going to erode trust. You're not going to have the safety. And at the end of the day, you're trying to change something internal from the out. And it doesn't even really make sense. So when you flip that around, think about the type of person and partner you become. And that's really where we want to go today. It's that if you focus on the internal, that you can create the pleasant internal experience of within yourself and really within the marriage, then it doesn't matter as much what happens externally. It can be external stresses like finances, parenting, health issues, people passing, economy, and world things changing.
Even a tone of voice, a look.
Well, that's where I was going to get. Then your partner can look at you a certain way, bring up a triggering topic, can ask you to make a change, but you've already handled the internal state. It is going to alter the external situation. And imagine, if it's not you, imagine being with a partner that whatever you bring to them, whatever life is facing, whatever life brings up for you, that your partner is grounded, is certain, is at peace within themselves, then that's a partner you can find a much better solution with than if one that's reactive, chaotic, defensive, blames you, and is trying to control everything.
Now, to be very realistic, we are not trying to portray that Aaron and I are never reactive.
Oh, this is a good point for you to bring up. This is the ultimate life focus. And we are not saying that we have mastered this.
No.
It might take a few lifetimes, but this is really something to shoot for.
And something we're focused on. And both of us are committed to. And we'll be getting into the specific steps here in a moment. But we both have a commitment to recognizing when we are in a more reactive state and not just letting that persist, not just blaming that on external circumstances, but saying, you know what? I've noticed I've been in a more reactive state. I'm catching that myself. It doesn't even require you to bring it up. From time to time, sure, you're the one that's like, hey, and same thing for me to you. Like, hey, it feels like you've been a little bit more short, a little more reactive. You okay? Like we can check in, but it's even better in your relationship if you are the one that catches it with yourself.
So this really is the deep personal work that we all go through, that we invite all couples to go into. And so as you take us into the steps here, really what we're talking about is how to become less emotionally reactive. That your fight is not against your partner and your fight is not against the external situations that you face. Your fight is against your default emotional reactions.
That is so well said. Okay. How do you become less emotionally reactive? We're going to walk you through some steps. So step one is identify where you currently feel pain or tension. And we don't mean in this sense a literal pain like your knee or your hip. Like definitely go get checked out if that's the case. Like go to a chiropractor or something if you are feeling that. We're talking.
I've been doing acupuncture and that's good too.
Yeah. I mean, we are all about those things. We're talking about emotional pains, stressors, tension that are existing within your life. So you can ask yourself, what's a situation right now that's bothering me? Is it work? Is it your career trajectory? Is it your relationship to your children? Is it your personal health? Is it a relationship with a family member? Is it that you're stressed out about world events that are going on? So what is it that is bothering you? Second, what are you feeling about that? And you got to label it, right? Just saying I'm angry. Anger is the tip of the iceberg. It really is. Like think about, that's just what you see a little bit above the water. Beneath the anger is what is below the water. It's what requires you to get more vulnerable. Beneath anger is usually some sort of fear, feeling hurt, feeling sad, insecure, vulnerable, unloved, not good enough.
Impulse towards immediate gratification even.
It can be any of those. You've got to put a label on it. What is the feeling? Let me label it and let me not just use generic things like I'm frustrated or I'm angry. Dig deeper than that.
And a part of why we bring up that it can be in other areas of your life is because that's affecting your reactive behaviors that show up in the marriage too. So how often do you feel as a partner that you're getting a poor response from your partner that seems that it's not even related to you? And many times it's not. That we really need to address these emotional reactions within us, whatever they are, because we know in psychology we have the idea of emotional crossover. Like if I'm feeling something, fear, lack, insecure, I feel a lot of doubt for our future, that is going to translate. You're going to feel it. Your partner's going to feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And it is going to alter your behavior to be more reactionary. So that's why it's important to look at whatever the pain is, like Jocelyn said, and that point is to bring awareness to it. Now, the second part is once you've identified it, you've given a label to that reactionary emotion, then this is more of a simple part. Write out what is the default reaction I act on? What is the impulse? What do I immediately do? Now, a deeper level is that you're often taking that action to try to alleviate this feeling within you. And it's important to know that, right? Because if the whole game is to have a more pleasant internal experience, your quick response to your partner, your impulse to eat, your sitting on the couch and not doing what you said you're going to do with your responsibility at home, scrolling your phone, maybe not so much that one, but all of those other ones are, I'm going to take a fast reaction to try to get myself into a more pleasant experience.
I do think the phone actually can be one.
Oh, yeah.
To dissociate, to kind of like alleviate yourself from the present moment. I absolutely think that can be one.
Yeah. So this one's more simple. Again, write out what is it that you then immediately default to?
This is a deeper question. What do I gain from that behavior?
Mm-hmm.
And I know that sounds odd because, okay, I'm identifying a behavior that is actually not productive, maybe not even healthy, but it's definitely not producing the result I want in my life and in my relationship. What do you gain? Do you gain temporary power? Do you avoid vulnerability? So it's like a protective mechanism. Well, I gain self-protection, self-preservation.
Mm-hmm.
I protect my ego. So what is it that you gain? Do you gain false confidence?
Ooh, wow.
Or certainty, like you're reaching for certainty, but it's false. It's not real because you're just reacting in that moment.
That's right.
I want to go to the next step because this is really my favorite step of it all.
Well, now you have a roadmap. You have to ask yourself the question, if this is what it's costing me, are you willing to have false security and temporary alleviation of pain for the long-term trust, love, trustworthiness, count on ability, harmony and peace in the long term?
Okay, to make it very clear, that next step is asking yourself, what is it costing me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
are you willing to continue to pay that price? Now, what we're saying is we know that you're not. But you have to see this down on paper and you have to see this in your own life. Because once you get to this step, we know the answer for all of you is no, I'm not willing to keep paying that price and sacrificing our closeness, our connection, our love within our marriage. And now that's the change. That right there is what's going to give you the awareness and the willpower when this comes back up in your life next, because it will. You haven't changed that yet. So now let's go to the next step. Now it's going to happen. The same situation is going to present itself. Your internal state gets disturbed. You want to blame external forces to try to temporarily bring back that inner peace, but we know that that's false. And now you know you're not willing to continue to pay that price. So you have to pause And now you can see it. And now you can choose to take an action that's going to better serve that long-term value, that long-term commitment, rather than continue to make these impulsive, immediate gratification sacrifices.
This is switching from being a reactive person and partner to a responsive. I am going to respond to this situation, to this person, consciously, intentionally aligned with what I do want in my relationship. And yes, that takes restraint. Yes, that takes self-control. Yes, that takes emotional maturity. That's why you're listening to this podcast, because we're on this journey with you. So I'm pausing from this pattern, continuing to play out. I'm no longer willing to pay that cost that we talked about, and I'm going to instead respond. What does that look like?
Mm-hmm.
The next step. And the way you worded this, it could be, people can say it differently, but the way you put this was, how can I bring more light into this moment?
Mm-hmm.
Another way could say, what's a more productive choice in this moment? What is actually more aligned with what I value and what I want in this area of my life or with this person? We're talking about your partnership on this episode, but it could also be your kids. Yeah. So what is actually more aligned with what I want with that person or that area?
And at this point, we leave you to try this out in your life. We can't give you the particular step here, but why I like, what can I do to bring more light? I can think of that more quickly. I don't have any preconceived notions about light. Like, it's already just light in terms of weight, in terms of the visual. Light is light. So how can I bring lightness? How can I make this lighter? How could I bring more compassion? How can I bring more understanding? How could I bring more love? How can I bring more curiosity? So the thing that will be required in the moment for you to be more responsive, we don't know. But I think if you ask, how can I bring more light to this? Then you'll understand the context of the situation and who's involved, whether it's your kid or your child. And then your mind will go and briefly search for an answer. How could I bring more light? Well, who am I with? My spouse. Well, it seems like maybe they're hurting. Okay, so man, bringing more light, I could reduce my stance. I was about to be defensive. I was about to point out where they didn't keep their word. But man, it seems like my partner's in pain. Let me just put my hand on their shoulder. Maybe that's what light looks like.
It might be the most important thing that you do in your relationship right now is recognize where you are reactive. And I also want to challenge those of us that are parents. This is one of the most important breakthroughs for you to have as a parent, because you aren't here just to provide security, food, shelter. We also are here to model how to be a emotionally responsible human being and to cooperate with others in many different contexts, from school to professional, from school to professional to personal relationships. And so what is more important really, or at least so interconnected to everything else than whether you live reactively or responsively? So recognize if you are in a state of fight or flight anywhere and do this work that we gave in the steps. Now, if you are ready to not just hear this episode, get motivated, you're ready to do the work, not just talk about it, but actually make the changes to your patterns, become more emotionally intelligent, more responsive in your conversations than reactive, then we would recommend the first resource you go to is our Level 2 Rebuilding Us 30-Day Couples Challenge, because that's going to be like getting daily mini coaching sessions from us in a very digestible way. We know you're busy, but we broke this down for you to become the best partner you can be, for the two of you to break patterns that impact your connection, to do some deeper repair work, rebuild the foundation of your partnership from patterns that have been affecting you. So go to meetthefreemans.com/links. You're going to see all of our popular resources there, but go to the Level 2 Rebuilding Us Couples Challenge. And then second to that, if you also need deeper work on working through your triggers, interrupting the conflict cycle, not getting caught up in that spiral, our de-escalating conflicts guide would be hugely instrumental because it's very much about interrupting the whole conflict cycle that plays out, regulating your emotions better. So go again to meetthefreemans.com/links and you'll see that de-escalating conflicts guide as well. But we are so glad that you were here listening with us. If you're new, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can hear past and future episodes. And if you enjoy our podcast, give us a rating, write a review, write a comment. We love reading every single one of those. And with that, we will talk to you guys on the next episode.